Welcome back, everyone. I am your host, Dalton Lee. We're back with some more college football talk today. We're going to go over our week two of college football, go over what we got right, what we got wrong, some surprising games out there, big surprises. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. It's not going to be as long as normal because there's not as many decent games to talk about. We're going to cover Duke, Illinois, Michigan, Oklahoma, and we're going to hit on a couple questionable games by some teams that we think are supposed to be good. That's all we're going to talk about really today. Not going to touch on NFL. We're going to touch on that tomorrow with Monday Night Football still being tonight. I'll do full coverage on that tomorrow. We're really just going to touch on college today. But it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So, for starters, we're going to start with the first game I talked about last week Duke, Illinois. Um, we got that one wrong. For starters, I want to credit Illinois. They played a good game, really good game. But Duke for a good first half and somewhat decent third quarter. Duke came to play somewhat. Offense couldn't capitalize, couldn't really make a whole lot of plays. They were shooting themselves in the foot. That defense though, that Duke defense came to play in the first half. They had 4 sacks at the end of the first half. So they played they played good, but costly turnovers. You got a fumble on a punt that ends up being a 3 play touchdown for Illinois to give them some momentum. Drop balls, slight miscommunications between receivers and quarterback. A couple fumbles by the quarterback on some scramble drill. It was just, but even with all that, I mean, they had 2 turnovers and still halfway through the third quarter, it was a one-score game. Yeah, one-score game. So if I'm Duke, obviously I wouldn't hang your head low. You were competing with number 11, now number 9 team in the country. So I didn't think it was that bad of an outing for Duke. Things got ugly late third, entire fourth. That's where things really snowballed downhill. But I still think this Duke team has a lot of promise in them. Andre Anthony had 2 touchdowns. It was good to see him get active. Athletic, big body guy. The running game was really good with Haquez Moore. He played really good. I'm interested to see how they'll try to integrate the rest of the offense. Try and be healthy. The defense, I think the defense just has to keep doing what it's doing. Outside penalties, penalties killed them a lot on drives, and pursuit angles and tackles. There was 3rd and 21. It was a little dump off pass, and just after they made the first man miss, I mean, just gone. So partially on the players, might partially be on the play calling on defense right there. So, but it's still early. It's week 2. I thought they showed out decent to be like that they could compete, especially in the ACC with what looks to be a slightly more competitive ACC this year. For Illinois, Illinois did what they were supposed to. Went out there. They struggled in the first half, couldn't really run the ball that well. Passing game was hit or miss, but then by about that third quarter mark, they had momentum going their way, and they just kept the foot on the gas. It was a tough game to watch if you were a Blue Devil fan. If you're an Illinois fan, it was easy. It was probably some good payback for that college basketball game last year. But all in all, both teams, even though Illinois, the score showed 45-19, Illinois still has some things to work on, but they got the makings of a really good team. Same with Duke. I think Duke can still be 8-9 win team, be in the top part of the ACC for sure. So growing pains in this game by both teams for sure, but promising upside from both. Then we got after that we're gonna wait on Michigan, Oklahoma. We got to talk about some of these 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock games. For starters, Troy Clemson was in a rain delay for a good while after Troy had scored a quick and early touchdown on Clemson. Well, okay, you know, get lucky. First drive, go down, get a couple good plays. That Troy team in the first half, they played great. They ran the ball at will. They made plays on third downs when they needed to through the air. Played sound fundamental defense. They had a pick six. The D tackle had a pick six right there near the goal line on Klubnik, make it 16-0. I mean, who doesn't love seeing a big boy get a tip drill, walk right into the end zone? This at halftime, 16-3, looking scary for Clemson. Looking real scary. I mean, second half they came out. Second half they came out and just lit it up. Just lit it up. They did what they were supposed to. I say lit them up. They only won 27-16. So Troy didn't score again after getting up 16-3. But after that, they took care of business in Death Valley. But if I'm a Clemson fan, if I'm in that part of that organization, I'm concerned at the moment. I'm really, really concerned. Klubnik didn't look that great. The run game took a while to get going. The defense was still there. First half they got pushed around a little bit. Second half they tightened up. But you're supposed to be top 2 team in the ACC. Started year number 4 in the country. Like what's going on in Clemson? It's just I don't know. Things are looking rough for a team that everybody thought highly of, especially Klubnik. Those receiver Wesco played good. Wesco played good, but those receivers, I mean, it's not like Klubnik really has excuses. He just hadn't put on a good outing in these first 2 games, so it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna move on from this. Maybe they'll tighten the ship, get a little better, maybe simplify things at this point because after this game they got a couple little easy games before they have to go and play like a Miami, teams like that. I think they also got Florida State on schedule later too, so they're gonna have to tighten up before they play them. Texas and Florida State, they handle business in their games. Florida State won 77-3, had 11 touchdowns in the game. It was insane. Arch Manning bounced back, him in Texas. Arch Manning, I think, had 5 total touchdowns, 4 in the air, 1 on the ground. Had a pick, but they had a little slow start in that game. But then once they got it going, they got it going. So maybe it's a nice little turning point for Arch and them. They need it before they get into some serious SEC play if they want to continue to try and live up to these high expectations of a top program. The biggest upset of the day, Florida losing to USF by 1 point in the swamp. Number 13 versus unranked. Granted, this unranked team had just beat number 25 at the time, Boise State. Beat them kind of single-handedly, and then we get to this game, and they were competing. They were competing. Lagway, what are we doing? I think Lagway's got all the talent in the world, but I think he's very inconsistent. Freak athlete, cannon of an arm, but sailing guys, throwing them short, can't do nothing. He makes check down look hard. Makes check down look like you got to be phenomenal. It's just a check down, a little 5-yard out, a little swing route. What are we? Got to hit your layups. If you can't hit your layups, you can doubt you can hit a bomb shot. USF, they grinded and wore down that LSU team, but they made the plays when it counted the most. A couple penalties in that game that could have swayed one way or another, but all in all, great game by USF. They're now number 18 in the country. They're over Bama. It's a weird time of year. We got USF ranked higher than Alabama. It's a weird time of year. But it's what makes it exciting. It's what we love. We love these upsets. It gets us going. Makes us happy. Then we got the big marquee matchup. 7:30 kickoff. We had Michigan, Oklahoma, and Norman. For the most part, I think it lived up to expectations. We picked Michigan in that one, and we were wrong. Michigan looked out of sorts. First half couldn't really do much. Couldn't run the ball. Bryce Underwood looked I don't know if it was nerves. I don't know if it was lack of understanding on what they were looking to do on the offensive side, but they were dazed and confused for sure. Made a couple plays. He made some flashes to look like he's got the talent to be a top end college quarterback, but there were some plays. It's like, what are we doing? I mean, you got a little curl route 8 yards from you, and you're sending that thing to the stands. Like, it's an 8 yard curl route. It's There's gonna be a lot of development that needs to happen with Bryce Underwood, and I feel like the offense needs to decide what kind of team they want to be. We think when you think of Michigan, think of Harbaugh. You think of running behind the big boys in the trenches, both sides. Trenches just grinding out games. And majority of the time, their games are close till the end when that defense is worn out, and that's where they blow teams out of the water. Doesn't make you bad. Still makes you a very good team, especially if you can control the line of scrimmage. They didn't really control the line of scrimmage outside of one big play started second half that made it somewhat a ball game from there. But after that, it wasn't a whole lot from beginning to end for Michigan. From Oklahoma impressed. Going in, we expected that defense to be good. They played phenomenal. Very little penalties. They put Bryce Underwood under duress. Stopped the run. I mean, they were getting off the field when they needed to. And when they were getting off the field, they were being rewarded by that offense. That offense consistently moved the ball. Couldn't really get a run game going with the running back, but they put the ball in Mateer's hands, and Mateer went to work. He looked poised. He looked calm. Made a couple good plays. He had that one interception, kind of sailed on him after that first touchdown drive, but came back from it. Looked sharp. Looked sharp. And that guy's more athletic than I thought. I knew he was somewhat of an athlete, but he made a couple plays where it's like, oh, he's actually out here running around, like outrunning guys, and he's not afraid to take a hit every now and then. He's putting in work. I think they need to establish a run game with the running backs because you can't have him throwing 30 plus passes and then running the ball another 15 plus times. There's too many hits. It's putting too much in just his control. Granted, it worked in this game. There's going to be games where you're going to have to do it. And it just works sometimes. But they're going to need a little more balance out of that offense. But passing game looks good. Looks really good. I'm excited to see how they're going to do the rest of the year, especially because they do have one of the tougher schedules in the SEC. I know they still got to play Tennessee. They got to play. Oh, they got Texas in the Red River rivalry. They got LSU. They got Missouri. I think they got 8 as of today. They have 8 ranked opponents on the schedule left, with Missouri sneaking in. They got A&M. They got a tough schedule. So this was a good win for them, showing them that they can compete with big time talent. Because that Michigan defense, I mean, it was only 21-13, 24-13. It was a close game, but Oklahoma proved that they could be more consistent and make offensive plays when need be, more so than Michigan. But I do think they need a little more balance between the run and the pass because if they just go pass happy against any of these teams with elite top end edge threats, it's going to eat them alive. It is going to eat them alive. To go back to Michigan, I don't know what they're going to do with Underwood. I like him. I think he's got a great upside, just athletic, strong arm, but I question the accuracy for sure. Granted, this was his second start ever at college level. He's on the road in Norman. Very tough environment to play. Very tough. But, I mean, if you're the number one quarterback coming out of last year's recruiting class, you got to show us some flashes, which he did, but the accuracy I worry about and the type of throws he's making. It seems like with him, he's coming out there and he's just slinging it, 90-mile-an-hour fastball, which in college you can kind of get away with if you got guys that are just open, because it doesn't matter what type of throw you make as long as you get it to them. But they're not always going to be open, especially nowadays with the way they're developing in college, the way NIL's working. Some of these teams are going to have some really good guys, especially if you're a team like Michigan in the Big Ten. You're going to play against some really good opponents, and your opponents are only going to get better. So you got to be able to decipher, does this need to be a fastball? Does this need to be a little touch? Does it need to be a loft? And that's one thing he didn't really show. It was just straight gas out of his hands. But still young. First road start ever in Norman. I mean, we're asking a lot out of the kid, especially because he didn't have a consistent run game. So it's all tricky. And it looked like the offense isn't really clicking together. There were a couple throws where he's throwing to a receiver's not even looking for the ball, or he's thinking it's a corner route, receiver runs a post. There's a lot of growing pains going on with this offense, for sure. And I don't know, it almost looked weird with Michigan. Like they threw 24 times because it's almost like that was the only thing that could possibly work, but it still wasn't working just because that's not who they're built to be. They don't have great weapons. Their number one weapon threat, the tight end, just wasn't playing. He was hurt. So it was a rough outing for them offensively. I think they're going to go back to the drawing board. I think their best bet is going to be to try and give confidence in this offensive line and run the ball. That's what's going to help take pressure off your quarterback. If you run the ball, that passing game should open up. If you hit a couple deep shots, that defense is going to have to respect the deep shot, going to have to respect the run. You're going to be able to manipulate them a lot better. But if you can't run the ball, every time it's going to be a passing down, and you can't hit deep shots, I mean, that defense is going to be just biting at you the whole time. They're sending pressure, trying to make you throw quick underneaths. And they're going to have guys everywhere flying around. So, all in all, I mean, it was still a very solid weekend of college football. We still had Iowa State. Iowa State coming out with that in the Cyhawk Bowl. Came to a game-winning field goal. Rocco Beck looked poised, calm, made necessary throws that he needed to. Iowa, not super consistent offense still. The passing game has looked better than what they have been in years past, but not enough to compete at a high-end level. That defense is still phenomenal, but so is Iowa State's. But it ultimately came down to whose offense can make more plays, and Iowa State just was able to. Granted, could have went to overtime. Who knows what would have happened? But Iowa State winning this game back-to-back years, top 15 team in the country. They're on the come up. They're a team I would definitely keep my eye on. Maybe sneak into the playoff. I mean, they've already handled Kansas State. They've already handled Iowa. Still got a couple more tough games ahead of them, but kind of like what I'm seeing out of them. They got a defense that looks like it can compete with anybody. They got an offense that looks like it can move the ball. They can run. They can throw. Rocco Beck has looked promising. So I'm interested to see how the rest of their season is going to go. But I mean, that's really all I got for you. Just a nice quick little recap. There's nothing too crazy that really happened out there. I mean, big dogs played the little dogs. Majority of them got handled outside of the Florida game. It's just the way it goes this time of year. But this upcoming weekend, we got a couple good matchups I'm excited to get into. We got some big SEC play opening up, some exciting ACC play opening up. So it's going to be, now is when we're getting to our meat and potatoes of this entree. We're starting to get matchups of teams that are like, this team wins, they got a chance for the playoff. This team's fighting to get a high seed in the playoff. Because I really don't think we've seen a team that looks 100% dominant. I mean, Penn State's look good at times, but sometimes they struggle. They only won by 20 today, or Saturday. Same thing with LSU, only won by 20. I mean, your two teams that blew out people were Florida State, who's right now I think just right outside the top 10, and Texas. But we seen what Texas did when they had to play a tough opponent. Granted, Arch's first start in Ohio State, that's a rough first start. So it's I feel like I mean you probably got 7, 8 teams that can really compete for the national championship, but in my eyes, there's not really a team that can maybe win the whole thing outside of Oregon's about the only one that I can say has put up serious numbers consistently on both sides of the ball, but they did the same thing last year, and we saw them get bounced in the first round. So or second round, they had a bye. They were number one seed. So I'm taking it with a grain of salt. I'm waiting until they play a. I know they got Penn State on the schedule. They got Ohio State again on the schedule. I might have to wait and see how they look against those other top dogs before we can make a clear cut winner. But I think this thing's wide open. Miami still looks good. They didn't play last weekend. They got a game this weekend. Clemson, I mean, maybe can get it together still. So, and I mean, who knows that SEC? I mean, Georgia's going to be in the mix. Texas is going to be in the mix. Maybe Oklahoma, if they keep playing like they did against Michigan, is going to be in the mix. Maybe Bama has a bounce back. I don't know about it, but they might. They might. Tennessee still looks solid. There's a couple teams in all conferences. Illinois can maybe make some noise if they keep putting up points the way they are, but this thing is wide open. And I cannot wait till we get later on into the season to see who falls, who rises, and who meets their status quo. So that's all I got. I'm trying to get this out before Monday Night Football. Tomorrow we got NFL recaps, all the games. Couple surprises, couple shockers. We had a great game on Sunday night. Can't wait to get into that one. That's gonna be a fun one to talk about. But hope you enjoyed the video. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good day.